All right, thank you very much. 6 members of Congress are in New Orleans today to start the 2011 Offshore Energy Tour. This afternoon, they'll be holding a joint news conference to bring the public up to date on their plans to strengthen America's energy security and proposals to try and lower gas prices. In fact, 7 out of the 10 Americans surveyed say that gas prices are creating a hardship for them. That's a no-brainer. But the experts say prices should be dropping another dime by Memorial Day. Some have predicted they could be going down by 40 cents or more in the next 6 months. With us this morning, Louisiana Congressman Steve Scalise, who is leading today's energy tour, along with Energy and Commerce Committee Chairman Fred Upton from Michigan. Thank you for coming in. First of all, even if we started drilling in earnest tomorrow, does that lower gas prices?
Well, we know that if you do start increasing the supply, increasing production, that's ultimately going to bring more gas online, which will lower gas prices, not only in the future, but on the speculative market today.
However, a drill started today still is years in the making.
Yeah, but you're talking about, number one, jobs, which right now we've lost over 12,000 jobs since President Obama's permatorium has devastated so many of the companies, these small businesses, these employers throughout our region. But ultimately, we shut off so much of the supply where we have billions of barrels of known reserves in America. At the same time, the president's going to Brazil, saying that he wants Brazil to be supplying our energy. We want to supply that energy here in America, create those jobs, and lower gas prices at the same time.
And the administration has been easing a bit on the drilling.
Well, they've
permit.
changed. We actually pushed legislation through the House the last 2 weeks to begin to look at these leases, particularly the ones that had been approved prior to the BP disaster. The administration was not very happy about that legislation. It was a pretty good battle on the House floor. We prevailed.
Because the president came out right before the BP oil disaster and wanted to drill everywhere.
Yeah, but then it changed. But here's the other thing that's important. We consume about 19 million barrels a day. We only produce 7 million barrels a day. And the shutdown, the permatorium, as Steve likes to call it here, really has impacted the whole country. In fact, the production has declined by more than 100,000 barrels a day from what was projected only last fall because no new leases come up. You know, that pressure's gone.
And if we continue drilling in the Gulf Coast, around Florida and in Alaska, could America supply its own oil needs?
Now, one thing we know we can do, while we couldn't completely eliminate all of our dependence on foreign oil, we can absolutely eliminate our dependence on Middle Eastern oil. And if you look at the biggest challenges we're facing, I think it's a frustration to both Fred and I, but to many others, that we're sending billions of dollars to some of these Middle Eastern countries that don't like us. We can completely end that demand if we increased our supply here in America. And then while Canada might be right now our biggest supplier, foreign, Canada's not a threat. In fact, they're an ally. But I think what irritates most people is that we're sending billions of dollars to a lot of these Middle Eastern countries that use that money against us.
And quickly, is there room for compromise for drilling? Because even the oil companies are saying that the wave of the future is going to try and go more green, to go energy efficient.
Look, you can't shut off the pipeline to fossil fuels like that.
No.
We all want more fuel-efficient cars. We're going to see that happening. Detroit, I mean, they're moving with these electric hybrids, but we need additional sources. So whether, the Gulf provides a third of our oil and gas. Alaska's had declining production. We're hoping to see that change. Canada actually produces 4 million barrels a day from oil sands. We're trying to build a major pipeline to the lower 48 states. Actually, there'll be a lot of jobs here in Louisiana. I met with some of Steve's constituents over the last couple of weeks. Be the biggest construction job ever in America, building, it's more than $1 million a mile for this, 1,000-mile pipeline coming down to the lower 48. We want to tap that oil from Canada. If we don't make a decision at some point soon, guess where it's going to go? China.
And quickly, are you optimistic we'll see more drilling in the Gulf, off the coast of Florida and Alaska as well?
Well, I think the fact that the gas prices are rising and possibly even approaching $5 later on in the summer is putting more pressure on the president and the leaders in the Senate to come our way. And I think that we've got to keep pushing the envelope, keep putting the heat on the Senate and on the president, because we've got to increase the supply here in America. We've got to become energy independent. And by the way, that also creates good jobs here in Louisiana, and it reduces our dependence on foreign oil.
And quickly, in presidential politics, Newt Gingrich apparently stuck his foot in his mouth on television over the weekend, kind of really downing the Paul Ryan economic plan. I mean, where are conservatives on that right now?
Well, you know, I think that if you look at the statements he made, I think it sends a message that he hasn't really read our bill. The budget we passed is a responsible budget that finally starts to put our country back on a path to balance the budget and strengthen a lot of these entitlements like Medicare that's going to go bankrupt if we do nothing. We actually strengthen it so it's there for seniors.
Is his candidacy dead?
We're both for Chris Christie.
There you go. All right, everyone's looking for creative ways to save money on gas. Wayne Carter.